Hi, I'm Tom Savini, and you're watching Without Your Head. But why?
It looks like we're live here. It actually worked really fast this time. So very good to have everybody here. And thanks, everyone, for coming and watching Strange Nature. And let's see who we have here. Jim Ojala, director and writer.
Hey.
Beth Meadows, producer.
Hi.
Hello. Big
Hello.
Dave Mattey, he was Joseph in the movie. He's also the editor, I noticed. In the
editor and stunt coordinator, too.
Oh,
and everything. I mean, yeah. There were a
man
lot
of many
hats.
trades here. Yes.
And a few hats,
yeah. Oh, and he's got a different background. He was, as Jim said, in the Millennium Falcon, and now he's...
now that we go live, we got to get a little fancy.
Yes, I'm trying to be mature and adult about the whole situation.
Angela Duffy was Judy in the movie.
Hi.
Yeah, best birth ever.
Yes.
We have Jonah here as Brody in the movie.
Yeah, Jonah.
Good to see you.
He'll be here. He's coming. He's
and
coming.
Carlos, who has a very cool hair here, matches my brother's beard, who dyed his beard.
Very nice.
Who's Greg in the film. It's very cool to have everybody here, and it was very cool to watch a movie with everybody.
Yeah, thank you for doing that. It was super cool to watch the comments and see where everybody's coming from, and that was cool. You saw that at one point somebody was like, "Go, Brody, go!" You know, like stab that sucker. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Brody, you were one of the fan favorites in the watch party.
Yeah.
Little Jonah.
Yeah.
It's natural, right?
Had all of you known each other before the movie, or some of you the first time?
I knew Dave, Beth, and Jim.
Yeah. All of us knew each other previous. And Jonah auditioned for the film, and that's where we first met Jonah. Everybody else, we had already previously known each other.
Very cool.
Sometimes for a really long time.
We had auditions. Yeah, that's true. But you think about it over the years and knowing that we're making the movie and raising the money and going, and so we all knew each other except for Lisa and Jonah and Chuck, and I'll keep going, but
but as far as like the principal cast, because we had John Hennigan who plays Sam. We also
knew John.
Yeah.
How did we know John, Jim?
I got hired on this really weird Danny Trejo movie to give John a bunch of fake tattoos, and we just got to be buds since then. So
it was just so funny. I mean, it's so great how things just unravel, you know, and you throughout the years this is true independent filmmaking. This is not a studio. This is true independent filmmaking. And I don't know if people realize when people say independent.
Well, it's a really broad term, really, honestly. I mean, it could be like something that you made for $500 or something. Even some movies that are like, I interviewed somebody once and I was like, I don't know how you did this for, it's low budget. Like, well, it cost $35 million. I was like, oh, well, I mean, that's great, but I don't really consider that an independent film, at that point.
Yeah, I mean, you'll have a film that's like premieres at Sundance starring Brad Pitt, and somebody will throw that sexy term around independent because it makes you seem a little, you got a little more street cred, but it's total bullshit.
I was just about to say, we could have ruined your street cred by our many bromance dates to the movie theater, Big Dave and I. And then if they would have seen John Hennigan and I getting our nails done, we got a manicure, pedicure. That would have just blown your street cred out of the water.
Exactly. In a little town in the backwoods of Minnesota.
Yeah.
Like, perfect.
Cedar Rapids.
Yep.
I saw him. I know it's true. And then Big Dave,
we did our movie dates. That was fun.
Yeah, that was a blast.
We were in Minnesota for 20 some odd days. And it was the Minnesota Film Commission. If it hadn't been for them and all our friends and family and everybody, we would have never gotten this done. And we're just very grateful for all of that, honestly.
Yeah, because it's a real Minnesota story that took place there, and it's just real unsolved ecological mystery. And over the years, I mean, Beth started trying to help me get this made, going way back to 2003. Is where we just started to get this out there. And we had so many ups and downs over the years, and producers that would come on board for a minute, but if we take it to Bulgaria, for like the cheap labor, or Louisiana, and it was just like, no, it's gotta be in
Minnesota.
If it's not in Minnesota, it has to be at least Midwest. That's where we got close for shooting in Iowa at one point, and then that was a whole other like disaster.
If Minnesota was amazing in the film office, went above and beyond in locations and helping us put everything together. And I mean, we were out in the boonies, and we would say, okay, holy moly's, we need this, and somebody would make a call and that would show up. So you can't ask for anything.
Well, we really
better than
needed
that.
somebody on the ground there, where Beth and I were doing pre-production in LA. And I was like doing jobs in Brazil while we're in pre-production, and like effects jobs. And we got on this wonderful Minnesota producer, Jessica Berggren. She was the one that was like locking in locations, just scouting, doing all that stuff that we weren't able to physically do.
And she brought in the crew. I mean, we had the best caterer who just jumped in out of nowhere, and that was because of Jess. And we were feeding 60 people 3 meals a day for 14, 20 days.
A lot of frogs.
Well, they eat a lot, so they got to keep those extra limbs.
I was to say, it's a good thing you found the ones with 3 or 4 legs. You get some extra food.
And to answer, somebody asked the question about were the frogs real?
Right.
They were real.
Yeah, we did. During our pre-production, we were trying to figure out, how we could create the fake frogs. And then we realized, like, wait a minute, it's a real thing. Maybe we could get the real thing. So I started doing research, and we got a bunch of support from the environmental community, from the ecological community. And we got the leading U.S. ecologist that's still studying these cases to come on board as our consultant. Because, like, a lot of the people in that community feel screwed over by the government, by the news media for just brushing this under the carpet after the mid-90s when no cause was found. It wasn't sexy anymore to talk about. So they're like, finally, somebody's making a movie about this. So through those contacts, we were able to get the live specimens to have, and my brother was raising them in Minnesota. So we would shoot close-ups when we could, and then we had a bunch of live ones to shoot when we did principal photography.
And that scientist actually played a part in the movie too. He was the one who came in with a black bag and said to Trent, "We have to talk."
Yeah. That was his. Like he was so psyched about us making this movie because he saw us for years too, trying to get this made. So when we finally got going, he was like, "I'm flying out. I would love to do a part. Well, I just want to be involved."
So, has he seen the finished movie?
Oh yeah. Huge fan. He loves that, like, he was even on set and he was like kind of hearing some of the dialogue that I'd written that I had like our science teacher say, and he was like, yeah, that's smart. He was like, that's real science. He was like, you're not just like bullshitting, He was like, you did your homework.
Yeah.
And his work is he's actually found a way to, they're looking at taking genes, going further with the what do you call them?
That's Beth Meadows live from the set of Blair Witch 3, ladies and gentlemen.
She's in South Carolina. There ain't no lights there,
We've actually been seeing the sun go down while she's been on camera.
Well, yeah. But I was going to say that he's actually taking this to science, this knowledge that from the malfunctions and malformations, and able to help people that have the different diseases and to create this. So it's turned into something really powerful for him. And he was instrumental in getting this, helping us put all this together and making sure that we stayed on target and truthful to what was really happening. And
there's one frog still alive. The big toes that was in the classroom. Bud, he's got that big arm sticking out of his side.
Bud is still alive.
My buddy Marty in Minnesota is taking care of him.
We got to get him on here. Can he use Zoom?
Yeah, no.
We have to bring Bud on.
When we did the Duluth, Minnesota premiere, he was there as a guest of honor. People could get their pictures with him and everything. It was awesome.
He's a diva, though. It's not just...
Yeah.
Well, he's very slow, and
he needs his own trailer.
Buddy. Yeah.
I understand. Yeah. So you see, this is true, and you said you've been trying to do based on in reality, and you've been trying to make it since 2003. So, like, when did you like discover the story, and did it all start?
I was in high school.
Dateline.
Well, Dateline brought it to the rest of the country, but in 1995, I was still in high school, and it was like the front page of my hometown newspaper that all these kids on this hiking, excursion with school found all these deformed frogs with these extra limbs, misplaced eyes inside their throats, like really crazy stuff, and they didn't know what it was causing it. And then people started to look. And then it spread across the whole state. Turns out once they started looking, everybody had these deformed frogs. And they didn't know, was it a contaminant? Was it UV rays? Was it global warming? It was all these theories. So that was in my mind. And then when I was trying to get my first feature going around the early 2000s, I was like, okay, well, it has to be something I can take back to Minnesota because I can get all the locations for free. It's a very doable place for a truly independent film. And at that point, I'm a professional special makeup and creature effects artist. So I knew it had to involve that so I could have something tangible to bring to the table. So I was like, started thinking about that real life story, and I started researching it. And then I'm surprised to find it's still going on. It's still unsolved. So I was like, damn, like I got to make this movie before somebody else does. And that it started snowballing,
Yeah. Jonah, by the way, since you weren't one of the people that knew everyone, how did you get involved?
I just auditioned with a long time ago. I remember casting director Jeff Pissarro.
Yeah.
And then Jim, I think, came to the second audition, the callback. And I think Lisa was also there, and she helped in the casting process too.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lisa, our Lisa Sheridan, our lead, we had them like read together too, so you kind of see their chemistry, and just right away it clicked. You immediately bought them as having a history and as like mother and son, and it clicked.
Yeah, which unfortunately, we brought up in the chat, but she passed away last year. Did she get to see the finished movie?
Oh yes. She was so proud of it. She got to be there at the LA premiere. And she was at the Minnesota Film Festival premiere. She was over the moon for the film. It was so insanely heartbreaking, her loss. But we're just so glad that she got to be a part of seeing the project all the way through, because it meant so much to her.
Mm-hmm. And also, Jonah, I thought you had a lot of chemistry with your grandfather Chuck in the movie, Bruce.
Yeah.
Was he fun to work with? Because it really seems like you guys have a real, relationship.
Yeah, he's a really authentic guy. It was easy to connect with him. Even when I was like 11, I don't know. He was good at talking to kids, I guess.
Yeah. Angela, now, were you part of the group that knew each other before filming?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes. She was our heroine in Marvel's Eye.
Yeah, when I first moved, I think it was when I very first moved to LA. They found me on Now Casting, and I didn't audition. I just showed up at a house for Marvel's.
In a dirty alley in North Hollywood.
It wasn't even a house. It was an alley.
It was an alley, but I went to the house, and then there were
shadows in the window, right? Creepy ass statue shadows.
Yeah, and my manager's like, if you need to turn around and call me, you do that. It was, but I got there, and everybody was so nice, and we shot the whole thing in the alley all night long.
Yeah, we were doing a show. We wanted to do a fan trailer of what a Marvel Zombies movie trailer would look like, and we just started scouring a casting site, and we saw Angela. Was like, whoa! It looks like she has some training, and man, she would make a killer Mary Jane. Let's see if we can get her.
I totally see that. Yeah.
And the rest was history. And she was one of the most phenomenal actors I'd ever worked with. And I want her a part of anything I ever do. So when Strange Nature came in, it was like, okay, I got a great role for you.
Yeah. And
Carlos, Carlos, when you're working with John Hennigan, who's, people know him as a wrestler, I've interviewed him a bunch of times. What do you think of him as an actor?
It's good. He's very solid, and he's offhandedly funny. And when he needed to be dramatic, there was a scene on the porch right before we go in to steal the baby, and he was on point. And his warm up for that was almost like a wrestler. He's very efficient. Like, here's what we're gonna do. Here's how we're gonna do it. It was nothing about method or anything, but I was really surprised about how functionally and practically good he was at switching from really offbeat humor to dead serious within a second. And I was impressed. I really was. He took lead.
Yeah.
There's my daughter, Riley.
Yeah.
Hey.
Riley.
For people who don't know, I also do a professional wrestling podcast, and so I've had him on the wrestling show and on the horror show. So he's a crossover. But yeah,
and in combination, I'm sorry, with Justin Overlander, who was Justin was just Justin. He was authentic backwoods Minnesota. I know that's not where he's from, but it was just a great mix.
Oh,
it was just really fun. Yeah.
Yeah. And David, how about your fight scene? I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say John was the blast during the whole fight stuff because he's used to taking hits, but still when you're on board a project as an actor, you don't have to be the one who's taking the hits, and so I said to him, I remember fairly early on we were talking about it, and I was like, how do you feel about going through a table? And he was like, oh, hell yes. And I was like, oh, cool, okay, great, it's gonna be fun. So, and he's used to doing it on the concrete wearing a Speedo, and so being able to do it with a gator back under his costume was just wonderful for him.
Well, and the trailer that Joseph lives in, where all that action goes down, if I remember correctly, I think originally we were just going to put him through the table, and then we realized they're going to tear down that trailer, so we could do whatever the hell we want to it. So then it was like, John, could we throw you through the wall too? And he was like, hell yeah. And I was like, oh, well, what else can we do?
On fire.
What else can we
throw? The trailer was on fire. I remember that scene was for the amount of action and stunts and vase breakings and eye gouging, to get it all done pretty much in one evening, as I recall.
Yeah, it was one long night.
That was amazing.
Long. Jonah, do you remember how long?
I do. I remember shooting at like 3 a.m.
So, Jonah, you should go take a nap and come back.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
I know. It was.
And the same was with Angela. Made that birth scene so real that I felt really bad being a part of it because her reaction was so solid. It's like, I know we're just filming a movie, but I don't want to be stealing no baby to go kill it. That's just wrong. Because her reaction, like, what are you guys doing?
And she's already just sweaty and worked up and everything, and
it was heartbreaking.
And just falling apart. And it's like, no, that night I remember specifically, it really stands out, where it was one of those. It was dark. It was really dark, and it felt like everybody needed to go take a shower.
I didn't like it.
Yeah.
How about yourself, Angela? What was it like to film? Do you remember?
What's up?
What was it like, Angela, for you to film that?
Oh, sorry. It paused, so I didn't hear
That's
you say my name. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
That particular scene. Mm-hmm. How was it to film?
Because they said it was dark, and they're not the one giving birth.
It formed a connection with the baby, and it was really tough. Even my husband, when he watched, he was like, "Oh gosh, that's," he's like, "Yeah, well," hearing the noises is like, "Oh goodness," and it was tough.
You had a long, just going into all of that, traveling and coming in to Minnesota.
He had to just get off a plane and pretty much go right to and deliver some really heavy stuff.
Well, the delivery, it was, the delivery scene, there was a part of me, I was like, I don't know if I could keep doing this. Like, I didn't know, like, it came from, you know, that's just, as an actor, it happens, like, it just came. And just all this emotion for this baby. And then, like, each take we did, I was like, I don't know if I can, I don't know. and Jim just said, I believe in you, Angela. I believe in you. And then I don't know how many takes we did of that, but I know it was more than one.
Yeah, it was like 5.
I don't know.
Yeah, it was a good handful. Yeah.
It was.
So it was also one of those where that's one of those things, because sometimes directors will overwork an actor and it's not necessary, but that's one of those situations where the more kind of beaten and exhausted you are, it really works.
Yeah, I mean, it was something else.
So between takes, Jim was beating her.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It was all Stanley Kubrick.
I didn't want to say anything, but
He was opening the door and letting in the mosquitoes to drain her.
Gosh, the mosquitoes! Oh Lord!
Yeah, those are downsides of Minnesota. Mosquitoes, unpredictable weather.
No cell service.
Yeah, we shot most of this film in the backwoods where there was no cell service. We couldn't even email people call sheets.
It was horrible.
I mean, it was tricky.
Just, hey, guess what time we need to be on set and the location and where it is. Oh.
Well, when you started, you said, you know, that the movie, some people don't think it's like an independent movie, but I think that's part of the movie because it has such a high production value. I mean, it looks like it would be, you know, a big budget movie. And probably a lot of that is, you know, the locations.
Thank you.
Right, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, and that's due to Jessica Bergman. She's the one who got us all the locations there.
Yeah.
So hats off to Jess.
Definitely.
Do you still have the baby, actually, that was in the movie?
Yeah.
The one that Stephen Tobolowsky is holding in the news conference,
right?
That he's looking down and stuff.
Yeah.
That one got sold off to a Kickstarter.
Oh, really? Okay.
Basically, a bidder, which was one of the ways I was able to make the film was by pre-selling the baby. So there. And then the other baby.
If someone just tuned in right now, they don't know what's going on. They're like, "Whoa, what kind of movie they making?"
Sorry, we're flagged. This is flagged. And then Angela's baby is sitting prominently in my office.
Little Danielle.
And
Yeah.
Danielle,
which ended as weirdly enough my sister's name.
Yeah.
So it was
know
like,
that.
oh my God. Yeah.
And ask Jim about the real baby that's in the very end of the movie.
Oh, okay. The real baby. Yeah. Oh, yes, of course. Yeah. Hopefully that was not auctioned off.
No.
It's like,
No. And
that's for left Minnesota.
And Big Dave and that whole thing.
Well, we did. Originally, we had a special effects baby, like just kind of like a stunt baby that we were going to put in and have her hold. And then we're getting to the 11th hour of shooting that scene. It was like, damn, like, I don't know if this is going to really sell. Like, if we could get a real baby, that would be awesome. Is there anybody that knows a real baby?
We need a real baby. We need a real baby.
And then Brittany, who was on our production team, she made some calls and came to us, and she was like, I got a baby. It'll be here in an hour. Yeah, you know, we've got to pay a little bit of money for the baby, but we have it. And it was like, oh, crap, yes. And then, so we got the baby, and then we did a little makeup on its neck, and then we shot a plate in LA of this like fake eye moving around in this piece of flesh with tracking markers that Big Dave did. And then Big Dave was able to digitally put the fake third eye that pokes through the skin and comp it on the real baby's neck.
Right.
And it looks so cool.
Looks great.
Yeah, it does look awesome. Yeah. So,
but yeah, if we would have had a fake baby, it's like we would have been so sad.
So we were scrambling for a real baby, like in the middle of the night, and
that shot is so close up. It's like there's no way to cheat it if that's not real. You know.
So, Dave, when you guys are talking about doing the movie, was it always you were going to be in it, or did that come later? Like, are you more a production guy or an actor normally?
No, I'm I'm more actor and stunts, and so yeah, I was always going to be in it, and then other things evolved from that. I was Jim and I have known each other for a really long time, and so
yeah, we go back to. I mean, Big Dave was the Toxic Avenger, my first movie I worked on. So like we've been buds since Citizen Toxic Avenger Part 4. So like he was involved in 99, yeah. So Big Dave was a part of this like from the get-go. I knew he was going to be in it. He knew he was going to be in it. In fact, years before, probably 6-7 years before we even made the film, we were doing test makeups on Big Dave at like our little home studio, and then we would drive out to like a grocery store and have him like creep out people
walking
and ask them
around the parking lot,
split lip and his big forehead and check reactions. I mean, we were doing that for years before we even shot.
Yeah, it was wild. Like people, I was basically just walking around the parking lot asking people for directions.
I was behind cars, like videotaping them and shit.
That was good. Bonus features.
It was awesome.
So, yeah.
Yes.
And nobody was like, hey, is that makeup? Everybody bought it. Completely bought it.
There was that one guy that couldn't quite look at you. He just kind of like pointed that way, and he didn't want to look at you though. Yeah.
Big Dave actually helped us put together the Toxic Shock Fest that we did in the fundraiser we did in Minnesota in 2003.
Yeah, it was a publicity event.
That's how far back.
We didn't even have a script yet. We were already doing publicity events. It's just when you're doing indie films, you try everything to get the ball rolling.
Yeah. Chuck Merrihew here in the chat, he says he has pics to prove it. I assume of Dave.
Yes. Hey, Chuck. How you doing, buddy?
Chuck.
By the way, how did that come about? You playing the Toxic Avenger?
That was let's see, a buddy of mine from my acting class, a guy by the name of Zork. He had been involved with Troma for a really long time, and he basically said, "Hey, they're auditioning for the next movie. You should go do it." And I went down and auditioned, and then something insane like 14 callbacks later, I finally got it. It was just an audition process, and I was the last one to not yell "not it," I think.
What's that experience like working on a Troma film?
Oh man, it's like going through boot camp. It's insanely grueling in a lot of different ways. Just the timeline alone, it was about 3 hours to get my makeup on and about 2 to get it off every day. And then we were shooting about 15 hours a day in the middle of that, 15 or 16 hours a day in the middle of that. So if you do the math, we're
averaging, for 6 weeks, we averaged 4 hours, 3 to 4 hours of sleep a night for 6 weeks straight.
Yep.
It broke. We saw it break a lot of people.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the makeup effects team and me, we were the ones that were there. We were the first ones in and the last ones out, because, everyone else could show up 3 hours later and, and be ready to go for the day. But it took us, it was a 3-hour process in the beginning. And so, yeah, everybody in the makeup effects team we all were like, super tight, and have been for ever since.
Yeah, I've interviewed a lot of people who worked on Troma films, and it's one or two things. Either they really have nothing good to say, or they look on it with either as like a great experience or a learning experience for them. I think it really depends on what they thought they were going to get out of it. If you're thinking like you're going to get become rich off of working for Troma, you probably had a bad experience. But if you look at it as just the experience itself, or a lot of people I've had on said that was their film school working for Troma. They didn't go to film school and just being on the set. They learned how to make a movie.
That's the thing. I was trying to go to film school and I couldn't get a loan to go. And then that's when I got the offer from Lloyd to intern on Citizen Toxic because of the short films that we were making in Minnesota. So it's like that. Yeah, it was a killer. It was a ball busting experience, but like that gave me a career. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't have had any of that if it wasn't for that experience. So I think a lot of people also look at it a little short-sighted, where it's like, you can't, like you're saying, you can't look to get rich. It's like, it's an opportunity, and it depends on what you do with it. You know, you may not get money from it, but there's so many opportunities and people I've met because of my relationship with Lloyd. I mean, when we were trying to get this film, Strange Nature, off the ground, that first publicity event, Lloyd sent us the 35 millimeter print of Citizen Toxie to hold the Minnesota premiere at our publicity event, keep all the money, whatever we make from it, just to support us. Like, they didn't have to do that, and he did all that free of charge. So certain things are worth a little more than just a few bucks, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that was, I mean, I remember hitting that point somewhere in the audition process during all the callbacks, and I was like, if a couple of good things come out of this, if one good thing comes out of this, it's going to be worth it. And it's the friendships I made and people. And I mean, like, we were shooting in August. My shirt was latex soaked cotton. So it was basically a rubber shirt, and I had a rubber head on, and it was all dark. And so I was sweating like a freak all day, every day.
Only one eye exposed to,
yeah, with one eye.
Yeah.
Every day, Jim had to climb under my armpit to get the makeup off from inside my sweaty armpit.
Or to reapply it, you know?
Yeah. We had to put it back on the next day. Every day I was like, dude, I'm so sorry. And he was like, it's all right. Living the dream.
Yeah, exactly.
So how about the song Sweeter Than Candy? Like, where did that come about? Because you have to have a song for the movie. Was this a song that was already around, or was it made for the movie?
Well,
that's a great question.
I'm in love with like one-hit wonders, and I just find that whole concept very fascinating. So I knew I wanted her to be a one-hit wonder. So years ago, I came up with the song was like Sweeter Than Candy, and candy with a K, and it could be like maybe a candy themed, like, one-hit wonder artist. But that's all I had, and I went to my buddy Tony Bennett. Not the Tony Bennett, the Tony Bennett of Duluth, Minnesota.
Cool. Yeah.
Tony Bennett's claim to fame. And he's one of the best musicians I know in Duluth. We grew up together, and I kind of threw it at him. I was like, hey, could you make a song around this? So years ago, he made a demo. He did lyrics and kind of did like a little tune to it. And it was basically just a demo. And then once we were, making the film, then Big Dave took it, and then we had another guy, Jake Larson, who was another musician in Duluth, and he finished off a lot of the music. And then Big Dave's wife, Christina, she's actually an amazing singer. So we brought her in, and she sang all the lyrics.
Yes.
So it's this whole like
whole family.
Deal, And then
the best part was casting the young Kim, and thanks to Jeff Pissarro, Jeff came up with the idea, because we were like, well, we can't put Lisa in younger makeup.
Be 20 years younger,
That's not going to work. And so what we did is he said, what about Simone, who is Jonah's sister? And she looks a lot like Kim. And it worked perfect because the two of them, they're brother and sister.
Right.
And it just...
So it bridges,
worked,
Yeah, and she was awesome, and she did the dance moves.
She did a great job.
We shot I encourage anybody that digs this, go to YouTube and check out the Sweeter Than Candy music video.
The whole music video's up there.
The full music video.
It's a whole music video.
And Big Dave did the editing, he did the post on it. And
I made the lips for the dancers.
Yeah, they have like sweaty, muscular dancers with big lip heads. It's so much fun. You get to hear the full song too, and it's really quite brilliant.
It's fun. Yeah.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very excited now.
Eventually, when we release another, like maybe a edition down the line, we'll have that as an extra.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have any of the shirts made that some of the people that are coming? Oh, you actually have one on. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Did you sell those? Because I would totally wear that.
Yes, we are selling them on the strangenaturemovie.com website.
Oh,
so they come in several different colors and everything, and we'll talk after this.
Yeah.
But we have the ones just like the tourists wore, and then we have some other funky colors too.
Oh, nice.
But I love this. I think it's like the coolest,
and thanks
like offensive tourist shirt. I mean, it's
the artwork. The artwork is
Randall
need
Kaplan.
to give credit to Randall.
Yeah, Randall Kaplan, who's another great designer and artist that we work with. He designed this, and it's just it was like just nailed it, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's see. I'm going to try some of the questions here. Michael Epstein.
Family.
He wanted to know. He liked the gag with the movie mayor line in the movie where she's like, "You're acting like a mayor out of a movie," which is pretty funny.
Okay. yeah.
Which
Total's reaction to that too.
Yeah.
He was so great. And his wife was in the movie too. I don't know if you know that, but
the newspaper receptionist is Tobolowsky's wife.
Oh, really?
So they flew out to Duluth together and knocked it all out in a couple days.
Yep.
And
again, thanks to Jeff Pissarro, our casting director.
Yeah, Jeff, because we were looking for different people for the mayor, and Tobolowsky was on our list, and Jeff knew him, and he sent the script over, and Stephen was like instantly loved it, and he said especially because it's the first time he's ever seen a movie mayor, especially in a genre film, that's just not an evil tool. Like he makes some mistakes, but he's genuinely trying to do the right thing.
Yeah.
And it was written like, okay, if this is a real situation, what might a mayor demand, you know? And we tried to stay pretty true to that.
Yeah, because a lot of times when you do see a mayor now in a movie, you think he's gonna, because he is so often just like the guy right out of Jaws, where he, in any other movie.
Exactly, yeah.
Same thing with a clown or a priest; they're always evil. They're never a good person.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
As they are in real life.
Exactly.
They're all
clown priests are the worst.
Yes, exactly.
Definitely cannot trust them.
So a lot of movies outside, Jonah, was it a physical movie for you to make, a physically demanding movie?
Yeah, but when I was a kid, I was already, you're kind of into that stuff, running around in grass, and like Minnesota is kind of a good place for like a kid who's 11 to just like explore and run around, because I've never been before. I was originally from Seattle, which is like, I don't know, sort of similar with the foresty kind of area, but I don't know. Minnesota was definitely fun, and being in that like kind of weird, what was it, like a farmhouse with the outhouse? It was, I don't know.
Right. Yeah, that was a real outhouse. And people actually had to use that outhouse,
Yeah.
So it was real deal.
Yeah.
And when we were scouting, that was an insane experience, because we pulled up to that house. We opened the doors of the car, and before we could even get out of the car, there were like 6 condor-sized mosquitoes that had come into the car. They were super aggressive and super big, and they were the outhouse skeeters. That were they're just great name for a band, but horrible in reality.
Or possibly a movie.
Oh my gosh, they were like helicopters. They were so big.
Yeah.
Nature's
Like actual size. I'm not kidding. They were this big.
Nature's blood-sucking drones.
Yep.
Blood-sucking drones. Jim's next film.
I mean, seriously, they were taking our blood for sure. Oh, yeah.
Watch it after Murder Hornets. Yeah.
It's a good follow-up. So, Carlos, I thought you added like a lot of humanity to Greg, because like with your scene with Dave, it's like you could tell that the character knows that Dave's really telling the truth, but at the same time you're doing what you think.
Yeah, it's a guy that gets caught up in it, and again, just trying to be grounded and real, because the script is going to take care of itself. And yeah, almost like the role that the mayor has, it's a really a role that's written to give you a great character. There is some humanity to all. The one with the least amount of humanity is probably is Hannigan's character, but even he has a little teeny soft spot. But yeah, I felt like Larry Fine in the Three Stooges. Hannigan is definitely Moe. Justin Overlander's Curly, and I'm just like, hey guys, come on, let's treat the guy with some respect.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what I thought was important, because you don't want them to just read like just a generic group of guys. Like they all need to kind of, Hannigan's kind of the leader. Justin is kind of, a little more the follower. There's always like more of a follower in the group. And then Greg is kind of like a little more the one that questions things, the voice of reason, if there is going to be one. It's like you have to have somebody to kind of fill all those roles, so.
Yeah. Plus I knew Dave. I didn't want to hurt him.
Right.
Yeah. I know if you guys got to a real altercation, you'd probably handle them.
Oh yeah, it would take more than a flower vase.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We had one breakable flower base, and we were like, "Be so careful!"
Oh, really?
The damn thing broke, and we tried to glue it back together.
By the time we got around. Yeah, by the time we got around to that part, that thing was more super glue than actual vase.
Yeah.
And I was like, the super glue is what's going to cut you now.
Oh, yeah. And it did. Oh, yeah. It sliced the shit out of it.
Yeah.
I was part of my first feature film in December, and there was 2 breakaway bottles in the movie, and everyone was very protective of them, so they didn't break before.
They're not cheap. They're not cheap, and they can break real easy.
Yeah. And they were originally going to film with some water, so there was but I think they were afraid they were just going to break from the weight of the water, so we skipped that part.
Right.
Yeah. So what was it like the first time you guys saw the finished movie, and did you do festivals or premieres with an audience?
Yeah, we did a week theatrical run in LA. And so everybody got to be a part of the LA premiere. And then shortly after that, we had our festival premiere at the Twin Cities Film Fest in Minneapolis. So, and then a lot of people went out for that too.
Yeah, it was cool to watch people's reactions. And it looked great up on the big screen. It was, as you said, the production value was really, really good. And it's hard to know when you're there and you're shooting late nights and you don't know how well things are lit and you just got to move and you got to move it in the end. It really was great to see it on the big screen. It came out great.
And go on, sorry.
Yeah, we kind of had a hint, but it was like you look at this, monitor on set that's like this big and go, wow, that looks really good. But you don't know how that's going to equate to actually being blown up to full size. And it looks just as good as it did on a little one.
And now that it's been out, the physical release and video on demand, what has the feedback been like? And I'm sorry for interrupting you, Beth.
No. I was just going to say, Big Dave did a great job putting everything together, and it was really quite the undertaking. That was a whole nother process, once you get it shot and everything, that whole
Dave
process.
Had to handle VFX, and then we also, we didn't, I made the same damn mistake that I see almost every other director make, where you try to squeeze in all of your effects into principal photography. No way. Not going to happen.
No, we
still had to go back to LA, and I send all these mutant wolves and all this animatronics and all this stuff back, and then still had to have additional shoot days just for effects inserts and all that. Because it's too much. When we were in Minnesota, it all had to be location and character specific.
Yeah. So what has the feedback?
Independent filming.
Right. Exactly.
Feedback's been great. We got a lot of great reviews and great interviews and everything. So it's it's like anything. It's been mixed. Some people don't like that we mix genres a little bit. Some people want it to be all horror or all drama, and that's just for what I wanted to make. That's just not interesting for me. I wanted to mix it up a little bit, and I thought there was room for that, and I think there's enough people out there that appreciate that.
Yeah. My favorite headline was, it's what was it? Aaron Brockovich meets
Die Hard Huckabees, through the eyes of Evil Dead or something crazy like that.
Evil Dead.
No, there's
that was great. I loved it.
There's a lot of we got great reviews from Ain't It Cool News and Rue Morgue, and a bunch of sites. Really, we were on some best of 2018 lists, and it was cool. It's everything I could have hoped for. But
marketing, when you don't your marketing budget after the fact, after you again, independent filmmaking, it's the marketing part of it, and that's why we're so grateful that you did this tonight. Thank you so much for.
No, totally, and I will say too that it's speaking of just reception and how films are taken. I cannot stress to the audience and people watching how important the ratings and reviews are. If you like this film or any independent film, they live and die these days by their IMDb rating, their reviews their average reviews on Amazon Prime, all that stuff. Like,
and
really
it only
matters.
takes a second.
It only takes a second. So like, support it if you can, because, you know, future projects in a lot of cases will be based on that. And something I never really would have thought of ahead of time is, like, internet trolls with movie reviews are a huge thing. And we have to, there's no way to counter that other than just with good reviews and good, like, we have this, like, undercurrent where, and some other films have gotten this treatment too, where some internet trolls have gone on trying to make it kind of out to be a left-wing conspiracy, like, agenda film. And it's kind of like, well, no, that's not what we intended. It's like, yeah, it's a film that cares about the environment and it's an environmental issue, but that shouldn't be a partisan issue.
Right. That shouldn't be political. I think everyone wants the world not to.
Sorry, we're human beings that care about the environment. Why does that mean I have to be on the other side? You know, so we really have to fight against that too. So
watch out for the trolls.
Every good review can help counter that. And I've gone on and I've seen some of these guys that, like, do that, and you go and you check out what other stuff they're doing. Right. It's all just trash. It's nothing, 100% trashing films. And so some people do it just for fun. Like, if you're just some, like, 15-year-old dickhead, like, I get it. You're doing it for kicks, whatever. But when you see grown men doing it, it's kind of sad, you know?
Yeah. No, yeah, I hear that, you know, from a lot of my filmmaker friends. It's the same thing, and I think you know, a lot of times you like a movie and you might not go. I don't know why, but you might not think to, hey, I should go and rate this. But like you said, you know, it really helps out. So everybody out there,
it does,
and they like it,
yeah,
tremendously, and it doesn't take that long.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
So we have to get the other movie going here pretty soon, just because everyone's you know, time-wise, but let's go through everyone, and you can either say, like, where you can follow you or what you're up to next. Carlos.
You can follow me on Twitter at Carlos Alazraqui, and Jim Ojala and his makeup crew are a big part of my film, Witness Infection, which is screening in the Portland Horror Film Festival this Thursday night at 9:00. So,
what did it just win?
We won 2 awards in a row. We won Best Feature at Horror Hound in Cincinnati, and Best Feature at Die Laughing Film Festival.
Nice.
And you can go to witnessinfection.com and see all of Jim's beautiful work.
Seriously,
and Big Dave Mattey as well.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so funny and so scary. It's awesome.
Yeah. Big Dave killed it with that, and the stunt coordinating, and Jim and his team killed it. So thank you. That's it.
Oh, very cool. I'm looking forward to looking up more about that. Very good. Beth.
Yes, hi. Well, Strange Nature movie in South Carolina, just kind of down here looking around and seeing what all is going to be going on in the Southeast. So we'll see. We'll see.
Right. Angela.
You can find me on This is Angela Duffy on Instagram, and I'm going to be doing another film with Jim actually, and I'll be dressed whenever filming starts again.
Yeah.
Or it starts up back in LA.
Yeah,
I'll basically look like a manatee.
Yeah, no, it's going to be super freaky, and she's going to kill it. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, it's a very, very interesting script.
Yeah.
But I'm basically going to be just like a sea monster, which I'm super excited
awesome.
about.
But it's a sea monster with heart.
I love like all of that kind of stuff. It's fun. And I've been building puppets, and I puppeteer, and I have a
that's pretty cool.
kid show. I've been building up all the episodes, and then he's going to start reading books, and it's for kids. It's just teaching mindfulness, and so for kids. So
which I forgot to bring up. There's
but those episodes are going to be starting soon.
Was a part of the movie I like too is that there is a lot of about bullying in the movie, which I like. subtext of the movie, or let's see here. Jonah, what are you up to?
You can get me on Instagram at YupWet, and I'm in season 2 of Pen 15 coming out soon.
He's so good in Pen 15.
That is a really good that's a really good show.
Okay.
Interviewed one of the cast members, so I watched it, and because it wasn't something I would be on my radar normally, but excellent show.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. And David.
I'm on Instagram and Twitter at Big Dave Mattey, and it's mostly pictures of my dog. And I'm got a couple things in the can that I can't talk about yet, and stuff brewing that I also can't talk about.
Fair enough. Very mysterious man here, Big Dave.
But you can watch me escort some hookers in El Camino.
That he could talk about, the hookers. So I'm very confused what he can't talk about. But some very shady stuff going on. I'm just kidding. And Jim.
I love it.
Yes, you can find out more about the film at strangenaturemovie.com. And our Instagram is at strangenaturemovie. There's a lot of cool interviews and behind the scenes stills. And we also have a Facebook page. Just facebook.com/strangenaturemovie. And our special effects Instagram is at Ojala FX. And we also have an Ojala Productions Facebook page that has all kinds of cool projects. All of our work that we did with Slipknot recently. We have an upcoming Cthulhu film that we did called The Deep Ones.
I happen to be wearing a Cthulhu shirt.
Perfect. Oh, you're going to love this. It's coming out soon. They just released the poster and some of the creature stills on Rue Morgue, and it's so freaky. It's going to be awesome. Cool. And then also check out our YouTube page, just Ojala Productions. And there's a lot of cool behind the scenes video and music videos and stuff I've directed that's on there. And and then we have we just finished Danzig's new movie too, Death Rider.
Oh, really?
We did the effects for, so that's
you worked on Veronica too, right?
Glenn brought me in for one effect. Yeah.
Okay, the blood woman, I think, or the woman in the top.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we also have this thing coming out, the Iron Sheik Massacre, which I can't talk about a whole lot, but
with the Iron
Dave's
Sheik?
involved in it. The Iron Sheik Massacre.
Okay.
And yes, the Iron Sheik is involved. Can't say a lot about it, but it's literally one of the greatest things you've ever seen in your life.
All right,
and
I'm sold. Yeah.
It's in post right now, and it's amazing. But it's John Hennigan's baby, but it's so good. It's so fun.
The only guest that ever hung up on me was the Iron Sheik. And it was a year before. Yeah, a year before he was on Howard Stern, and then a year after he was doing that all the time on Stern. I was like, kind of stole my my gig here. It became much bigger on Howard Stern, but it was only a 5-minute interview. He just came on the show, and I asked one question, and he just flipped out on me and said he's going to break my back and his spiel.
Oh my!
And he hung up. The Brody and all that.
Yeah, it was the most hits I ever had at the time, and people still tell me it's my favorite interview or their favorite interview of mine, which I never know how to take because I have hour-long interviews, and their favorite interviews is the guy yelling at me. But.
Is it radio or is it video?
It was no, it's just the audio. It's on the podcast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
It was before reviewing.
I'd love to hear that.
I'll send it to you. Yeah, it's cool. Very funny. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks everyone for doing this. I had a great time, and I'm glad everyone let you do it.
Pleasure. Thanks for having us.
Right.
And if anybody wants to keep checking it out, we're on Amazon Prime and Tubi also.
Right.
So.
Oh, very cool. All right. Good.
Yeah.
I will talk to you guys soon.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Neal. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Good to see everybody.
Yes.
Stay safe.
Love you too. Bye. Love you.